Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Tonight, inshallah, we continue on with our tafsir class from Tafseer Al-Qurtubi. We are still dealing with Surah Al-Naba, and we are starting from the tafsir of ayah number 21 tonight, inshallah. So, without further ado, he says, قوله تعالى إن جهنم كانت مرصادا للطاغين مآبا لابثين فيها أحقابا لا يذوقون فيها بردا ولا شرابا إلا حميما وغساقا جزاء وفاقا إنهم كانوا لا يرجون حسابا وكذبوا بآياتنا كذابا وكل شيء أحصيناه كتابا فذوقوا فلن نزيدكم إلا عذابا. He has taken this set of ayat and put it together as one topic to give the tafsir on, because in this portion of the surah, it is one particular address that Allah is giving here. So I'll give a brief translation and then move on to the tafsir itself. So, Inna Jahannama kanat mirsada, that verily Jahannam is lying in wait. And I'll explain further details as we move on, inshallah, into the tafsir. So, verily Jahannam has been lying in wait. لِلطَّاغِينَ مَآبًا, as an abode for the taghin, the transgressors. لَابِثِينَ فِيهَا أَحْقَابًا, they will remain therein for ages. لا يذوقون فيها بردا ولا شرابا, they will not taste therein any coolness, or they will not have therein any sleep, nor anything to drink. ولا شرابا, or any drink. إلا حميما وغساقا, the only thing that they will have will be boiling water and ghassaq, and we'll deal with what ghassaq is later. But just to give a brief translation, ghassaq refers to the pus and the vomit of the people of Jahannam. Jaza'a wifaqa, and Allah says this is an appropriate recompensation for what they had done. إنهم كانوا لا يرجون حسابا. And Allah goes on to explain what did these people do to get this punishment. إنهم كانوا لا يرجون حسابا. These people, they did not, verily they were not expecting and preparing and believing in a reckoning, that there will be a day of Qiyamah where you will answer for your deeds. وَكَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا كِذَّابًا, and they rejected the ayat of Allah, they rejected our signs emphatically. وَكَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا كِذَّابًا, then Allah says, that is what their crime was. وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ كِتَابًا, but everything, Allah has enumerated it in writing. It's in a book. Everything you had done, your book of deeds is there with it in. So now, فَذُوقُوا فَلَن نَزِيدَكُمْ إِلَّا عَذَابًا, so taste today the results of your actions. فَلَن نَزِيدَكُمْ إِلَّا عَذَابًا, that we will not increase you except in punishment. These ayat, from ayah number 21 to 30, it deals just with this one particular topic. The next ayat, which continues on from this point, starts with a new topic. So therefore, these ones have been put together. So now let's move to the tafsir perspective. He says, قوله تعالى إن جهنم كانت مرصادا, that verily Jahannam lies in wait, or has been lying in wait already. He says مفعال من الرصد والرصد كل شيء كان أمامك, that it is from the root, or at least on the pattern of مفعال, from the word rasad. Rasad means anything that is ahead of you, that's waiting for you. Now, just to touch on one point here, many people have the idea in their mind that Jahannam is a place, but this is not exactly accurate. Jahannam is not merely a place. Jahannam is a thing. It is alive, living, breathing, speaking, moving creature. That is what Jahannam is. Jahannam can growl, it can breathe, it can see, it can speak, it can move, it has strength. All of these things. Jahannam is a lot more than being a place where some fire is, that people tend to have this image in their mind. But anyway, we can touch on this at a later stage. I did have an audio on this, a short audio, some time back on WhatsApp, on a description of Jahannam, which explains this a little bit in further detail. But anyway, moving on, he says that قال الحسن إن على النار رصدا لا يدخل أحد الجنة حتى يجتاز عليه فمن جاء بجواز جاز ومن لم يجيء بجواز حبس. Imam Hassan rahimahullah, he said that inna ala nari rasada, there is a watchman on Jahannam. In other words, here's Jahannam and there's a gatekeeper, a watchman, somebody standing watch over there. No one goes to Jannah. No one will enter Jannah hatta yajtaza alayhi. He's on the road. You've got to pass by him before you can reach Jannah. So, faman ja'a bi jawazin, you're going to come, in other words, with your passport. Jawaz means you've got the right to travel further. So you're going to come there and you could say, like, where's your passport to move on? And faman ja'a bi jawazin, jaza. You come with the right of passage, you will be allowed to go on. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَجِي, whoever does not come with this right of passage, حُبِسَ, you don't come with this with your passport, your ticket for Jannah, then you will be arrested, you'll be kept back, and you'll be thrown into the fire of Jahannam. وعن سفيان رحمه الله قال عليها ثلاث قناطر. The Imam Sufyan rahimahullah, he had said that on Jahannam there are three qanatir. Qanatir is the plural of the word qantara. Qantara means an arch. So in other words, there are like three arches on Jahannam. Or at least let me put it this way. There is the road which is leading to Jannah, and Jahannam is in the way. There is no way that you can get to Jannah except that you have to pass over Jahannam. And this is where the angels, the malaika, are waiting in, lying in wait for you. Now that's the one point, that the malaika are lying in wait for you. The other one, like I said, because Jahannam itself is alive, the Jahannam itself can move, Jahannam itself can talk and stuff like this here. Therefore, Jahannam itself is lying in wait for these people. وقيل مرصادا ذات أرصاد على النسب أي ترصد من يمر بها. He says that the mirsada means ترصد من يمر بها. It is there as a watchman watching whoever will pass over it. وقال مقاتل محبسة. He interpreted that mirsada as a place, or habasa yahbusu mahbis, a place where you are arrested. So Jahannam is not lying in wait, but Jahannam is a place where you will be captured. وقيل طريقا وممرا فلا سبيل إلى الجنة حتى يقطع جهنم. وفي الصحاح والمرصاد الطريق. So he says that it's also said that mirsada in كانت مرصادة, the word mirsad is what we are explaining now. So he says that mirsad also means a road, the path that is taken, the place where people will walk. فلا سبيل إلى الجنة. There is no way to reach, no road that will take you to Jannah until حتى يقطع جهنم, until you pass Jahannam. In order to get to Jannah, you've got to pass Jahannam. One of the things, if you've read in the ahadith and stuff like this here, you come to what is known as the sirat. In Urdu, you may have heard it as pul sirat. So you come the sirat, which is thinner than a hair and sharper than a blade and all this thing, and you got to pass this for you to be able to reach Jannah. So therefore, all of these hadith and things show you that on the way to reach Jannah, you've got to pass by all of these things. So he says here, it's mentioned in the Sihah, in the Ahadith, in other words, that Mirsad is used as the translated as Tariq, as the road. So Inna Jahannama kanat mirsada. If you were to take it in this understanding, that Jahannam is كانت مرصادة. Jahannam itself is part of the road that leads to Jannah. So you are not going to be able to reach Jannah until you pass through this road which leads over Jahannam. وذكر القشيري رحمه الله أن المرصاد المكان الذي يرسل فيه الواحد العدو نحو المضمار الموضع الذي تضمر فيه الخيل أي هي معدة لهم فالمرصاد بمعنى المحل فالملائكة يرسلون الكفار حتى ينزلوا بجهنم. Imam al-Qushayri rahimahullah said that mirsad means that place where a person lies in wait for the enemy. He shows it that mirsad is on the pattern as midmar, and midmar is that place where horses are trained, where they make them now fit and lean and stuff like this. Yeah, that place. So therefore, al-mu'iddatan lahum, where they are prepared. So mirsad is in the meaning of a place. So inna jahannama kanat mirsada, it is the place which is lying in wait for its, like you would say, lying in wait for its enemies. So except in this case, the malaika are who are lying in wait, so to say, for the kuffar that will pass by this road. The kuffar will not be able to go to Jannah. The malaika will be waiting for them there at the doors of Jahannam, and they will be taken to Jahannam. So he says, so the malaika will lie in wait for the kuffar until they are taken, these people are taken to Jahannam. وذكر الماوردي عن أبي سنان أنها بمعنى راصدة تجازيهم بأفعالهم, that he makes mention that the mirsada is in the meaning of rasida, meaning that they will be تجازيهم بأفعالهم, they will be recompensed according to their actions. So if your actions were bad, obviously you know Jahannam is your abode. Now he goes on to وفي الصحاح الراصد للشيء الراقب له, تقول رصده يرصده رصدا ورصدا, وترصد الترقب, والمرصد موضع الرصد. الأسمعي رصدته أرصده ترقبته وأرصدت له أعددت له والكسائي مثله. A lot of linguistics. At the end of the day, what he's trying to say is proving at least that, you know, the term mirsada, even though it's a proper original Arabic word, but it's not used all that common. That is why you are showing that from the linguists themselves and other places where the word is used, this is what the meaning is. We understand today. I mean, you can open an English translation or Urdu translation in anything and find a simplified translation of the word. So it does not even cross your mind as to what the word mirsada means. But for those who were Arabs, who were used to the language, but they came across a more eloquent word that they are not that often using. So therefore, that is why you find all of this, lot of tafsir on this one single word. Any case, like I say, all of this, الترقب, الترصد, it, you know, like lying in wait, keeping an eye, being a watchman, all this stuff of the sort. He goes further. He says, قلت فجهنم مترصدة متفاعل من الرصد وهو الترقب، أي هي متطلعة لمن يأتي، والمرصاد مفعل من أبنية المبالغة كالمعطار والمغيار، فكأنه يكثر من جهنم انتظار الكفار. This Imam Al-Qurtubi rahimahullah, he says, so Jahannam is prepared, it is lying in wait, it, you know, it is ready and waiting, if as we would put it in English. It is there. وهو الترقب, ترقب, like as you can say, keeping an eye out. متطلعة, as you would say, you know, a scout. It's scouting. Jahannam is there, lying in wait. It is scouting. It's there on the outskirts waiting for you. It's not waiting for you to come to it. It's already waiting for you to come there. He says mirsad is on a pattern of mubalagha. Mubalagha is what you would put it in English as the superlative form, you know, on a high level of emphasis and things like this. That is the emphasis which Allah is putting in this ayah. That is, so that's why he says here, فَكَأَنَّهُ يَكْثُرُ مِنْ جَهَنَّمَ انْتِظَارُ الْكُفَّارِ. That Jahannam has if I were to put it in our simple English, that Jahannam is anxiously lying in wait for you. That's what the ayah is saying. لِلطَّاغِينَ مَآبًا. For the oppressors, the taghin, you know, the taghi, a person who transgresses. So it is as an abode for the transgressors. Now, this is the point that is important to look at. So he says it is بدن من قوله مرصادا, that لِلطَّاغِينَ مَآبًا, that's referring to Jahannam, that the Jahannam is lying in wait for you transgressors as your abode, if you were to translate the two ayah together. Now what is Ma'ab? Ma'ab is al-marji', the place that you will return to. أي مرجعا يرجعون إليها, the place that you will return to. يقال آب يؤوب أوبة إذا رجع. That, you know, he's speaking from a sarf perspective over here, morphology, but you know, maybe you've heard from a hadith, آيبون تايبون لربنا حامدون أو كما قال. But anyway, so that آيبون is this آبا يؤوب, that ma'aba, a place of returning. So وقال قتادة مأوى ومنزلا, that Jahannam is a ma'wa, a manzil means a home, a place that you will a place that you will go to, a place that you will stay in. That's what it is. He says والمراد بالطاغين من طغى في دينه بالكفر أو في دنياه بالظلم. That who are the taghin being referred to in the ayah? He says it is those who had transgressed in their deen by committing kufr, or those who transgressed in their dunya by committing oppression, ظلم. He goes further, he says قوله تعالى لابثين فيها أحقابا. I just want to see one point. Okay, so it's not mentioned here exactly. But anyway, when we look at this ayah, لِلطَّاغِينَ مَآبًا, it's not mentioned over here that لِلْكُفَّارَ مَآبًا. It's not mentioned about kuffar, which shows at the same time that لِلطَّاغِينَ مَآبًا, that, and this is our principle of usul, that we say الْعِبْرَةُ لِعُمُومِ اللَّفْظِ لَا لِخُصُوصِ السَّبَبِ, that we take lesson from the unrestricted nature of the words of the Quran rather than the restricted nature of the reason for revelation. In other words, we know what the ayah was revealed regarding, but where it is possible that the meaning can apply to other things, then we will apply the meaning across the board like that. So while we can say, yes, when we look at it in context like this here, it refers to the kuffar because إِنَّهُمْ لَا كَانُوا لَا يَرْجُونَ حِسَابًا. They are the ones who did not believe in the day of reckoning. And as Muslims, we do believe in it. So therefore, we can say, yes, the ayah was revealed regarding kuffar. But because the ayah did not say lil kuffar, it said li taghin, and it is possible for a Muslim to be a taghi. Therefore, we say that it is possible that this ayah can be referring to Muslims as well. To a Muslim who transgresses against himself in his deen and in his dunya against himself or against others, then this can be his same abode as well, despite the fact that he may not be a kafir. And now you'll understand this at least as we move further with the tafsir. لَابِثِينَ فِيهَا أَحْقَابًا, that they will remain therein for ages, as I translated it as a rough translation. But there's a lot of interpretation on the word أحقابا. Any case, you say أي ماكثين في النار ما دامت الأحقاب وهي لا تنقطع فكلما مضى حقب جاء حقب. He says that they will remain there in the fire of Jahannam ma damatil ahqab, as long as ahqab exists. And he says ahqab does not come to an end. In other words, let me put it in simple English, as they will remain therein for eternity, if I were to put it in our English. Or if you were to say it, they will remain therein for, let's put it this way, for ages, for generations, for years. So كلما مضى حقب جاء حقب. Every time one year ends, another year comes, and it goes on like this forever and forever and forever and forever. He says والحقب بالضمتين الدهر, that حقب, every year, أحقاب, حقب is obviously it's the singular form. He says it refers to الدهر, it refers to time itself. So they will remain therein for all time. He says, وَالْأَحْقَابُ الدُّهُورِ, that أحقاب is a plural form, which means dahrun, duhurun, singular and plural. So they will remain therein for ages, one age after the next. When he says, وَالْحِقْبَةُ بِالْكَسْرِ السَّنَةِ, if you take the word حُقُبٌ and you take here حِقْبَةٌ, he says it means a year. So they will remain therein for years, endless years. والجمع حقب, قال متمم بن النويرة التميمي وكنا كندمان جزيمة حقبة من الدهر حتى قيل لن يتصدعا فلما تفرقنا كأني ومالك لطول اجتماع لم نبت ليلة معا. Anyway, bypassing the poem, everything is pointing out is the usage of the word حقبة, جذيمة حقبة, حقبة من الدهر, showing that it's used in the sense of years upon years. He says والحقب بالضم والحقب with a sakin on the qaf, ثمانون سنة. According to one opinion, that when you say the word حقب, it refers to 80 years. وقيل أكثر من ذلك وأقل. Other ulama say it's more than 80, others say it is less than 80. على ما يأتي, as you will see now shortly. And the plural form is أحقاب. He says والمعنى في الآية لابثين فيها أحقاب الآخرة التي لا نهاية لها فحذف الآخرة لدلالة الكلام عليه إذ في الكلام ذكر الآخرة. He says in the meaning of the ayah is they will remain herein for eternity according to the years of the akhirah, and the akhirah has no end to it. So there's no need for akhirah to have been mentioned, because the context of the ayah itself tells you that we are talking about the akhirah, so there was no need to explicitly make mention of akhirah. So he says that, like how it is said, كما قال أيام الآخرة أي أيام بعد أيام إلى غير النهاية. Like how it is said that the days of the year after, days after days, to after days after days after days after days, forever and forever and forever and all eternity. In other words, that's what he's saying. So it goes on without end. He says, وإنما كان يدل على التوقيت لو قال 5 أحقاب أو 10 أحقاب ونحوه. He says, and it points out to time, like how you said, 5 أحقاب or 10 أحقاب and so on and so forth. He says, وذكر الأحقاب لأن الحقب كان أبعد شيء عندهم فتكلم بما تذهب إليه أوهامهم ويعرفونها وهي كناية عن التأبيد أي يمكثون فيها أبدا. He says that for the Arabs, according to what they knew, in the most eloquent, highest level of Arabic, the longest time, like, we have a split second, millisecond, a nanosecond, everything, and you've got a second and a minute and an hour and things. We've got names for the various amounts of time, to put it this way. So he says that the longest time, the division that the Arabs knew of was a حقب. So فَتَكَلَّمَ بِمَا تَذْهَبُ إِلَيْهِ أَوْهَامُهُم. So Allah used a word that their minds would be able to understand and realize and recognize, because it's a word that they do know. But he says وَهِيَ كِنَايَةٌ عَنِ التَّأْبِيدِ. But was used metaphorically to mean eternity, not to mean that let's take it this way, that even for the Arabs, that ahqab it was a finite amount of time, that it was, let's say, whether you took it 70 years, 80 years, 90 years, 100 years, but it was, to a degree, we understood it something that came to an end. But Allah used it in this context here as the further highest number that they knew of, but it was used in the sense that it means you will remain therein forever and ever and all eternity. وقيل ذكر الأحقاب دون الأيام لأن الأحقاب أهول في القلوب وأدل على الخلود والمعنى متقارب وهذا الخلود في حق المشركين. He says that it's mentioned that Allah had made mention لابثين فيها أحقابا and not لابثين فيها أياما, that they will remain therein for ahqab and not for days. Because ahqab, even though you can understand it to be days, weeks, months, years, and stuff like this, for forever and eternity, but he says that when a person says to the infinity like this here, it puts more fear in the person's heart than if Allah had said he will remain therein for an endless amount of days, that he will remain therein for all eternity. The word ahqab puts more fear in the person's heart than putting it the other way. Then say day after day you will remain in Jahannam, but you will remain therein for all eternity, and that's what throws people, because it's like, I'll never get out of here. So he says, وَأَدَلُّ عَلَى الْخُلُودِ. It proves more that it is forever and ever and unending. He says, but the meaning at the end of the day, it is similar to one another. And he says, this remaining in Jahannam for all eternity is with regards to kuffar, to mushrikeen. It does not apply to Muslims. As I had mentioned earlier, that we can take the ayah in away from what it had actually been meant for with regards to kuffar, and we can say that it can apply to Muslims who are transgressors as well. So he says that with regards to staying in Jahannam forever, well, that will apply to the kuffar, but as far as the Muslims are concerned, we will take it in the context that they will remain therein for a lengthy period of time, but then they will come out of it. And here he makes mention of it as well. He says, وَيُمْكِنُ حَمْلُ الْآيَةِ عَلَى الْعُصَاةِ الَّذِينَ يَخْرُجُونَ مِنَ النَّارِ بَعْدَ أَحْقَابًا. He says that it's possible that you can also understand the ayah that it is applying to the sinful Muslims, those who will come out of Jahannam after some time. And the hadith makes mention of this, that the people will be there will be Muslims who will be in Jahannam for so long, and they will be burned to a crisp. They will be black like coal, and then they will be told to go to Naharul Haya, the river of life, and bath therein, and then they will come to normal. But what I mean is that they will come out after this lengthy period of time. He says it's possible that it can be referred to those people. He says وقيل الأحقاب وقت لشربهم الحميم والغساق فإذا فإذا انقضت فيكون لهم نوع آخر من العقاب ولهذا قال لابثين فيها أحقابا لا يذوقون فيها بردا ولا شرابا إلا حميما وغساقا. He says according to some ulama they took that أحقاب is a specific time period, a time period like you can say from 8 to 10 a.m. you will be lashed. From 11 to 12 you'll be burnt with fire, you know, like this. So there are different punishments for different times. So he says that the ahqab, that period of time, you will be, your punishment will be the drinking of hamim and ghassaq, boiling water and boiling pus. So he says فإذا انقضت فيكون له نوع آخر من العقاب, that when this ahqab passes by, then this punishment will now be over and the next punishment will now be brought in over you. He says, and this is why the ayah mentions لابثين فيها أحقابا, they will remain therein for ages. لا يذوقون فيها, they will not taste therein any coolness or no any water except boiling water and ghassaq. In other words, it's showing that these three ayat are linked to one another. It's speaking about one topic, according to this one opinion. ولابثين اسم فاعل من لبث ويقويه أن المصدر منه اللبث بالإسكان كالشرب. وقرأ حمزة والكسائي لبثين بغير ألف وهو اختيار أبي حاتم وأبي عبيد وهما لغتان. يقال رجل لابث ولبث مثل طمع وطامع وفره وفاره. ويقال هو لبث بمكان كذا أي قد صار اللبث شأنه فشبه بما هو خلقة في الإنسان. Okay, before we go on and on, he says, now he's speaking just pure linguistics. He says that the word labithin, it is from the word labitha, which means to remain. And he says what is proved from this, or at least what strengthens this, is that the source for the word minhu is al-labth. Al-labth, which with a sakin on the bar, which is like the kasharb, which would mean like drinking. So anyway, what he's just pointing out in the whole point here is that this is the root word of the word labithina fiha ahqaba, that they will remain therein for all eternity. Okay. Okay, this ويقال هو لابث بمكان كذا. He had mentioned that according to Imam Al-Kisai, Imam Hamza, Imam Abi Hatim, Imam Abu Ubaid, them they had okay, time is running short according to Zoom, so we'll end shortly. But anyway, so according to these ulama, obviously with time running short like this, if anybody has any questions, like I always say, ask your questions now. Don't wait till the end of class because it may cut out before we end. And in any case, we'll never be able to finish all these ayat that we had recited tonight because we're still only at the beginning. But in any case, so he's saying that it's also said according to certain ulama that huwa labithun bimakani kada, that he will remain in such and such a place. قد صار اللبث شأنه, that staying therein has become is his affair. That's what he will be done to him, in other words. فشبه بما هو خلقة في الإنسان نحو حذر وفرق لأن باب فعل إنما هو لما يكون خلقة في الشيء في الأغلب وليس كذلك اسم الفاعل من لابث. Okay, any case, so he's speaking now again pure linguistics, but if you take the word that حذر and things like this, it is a description of the person. So the labitha, labithina fiha ahqaba, if you were to read it in this, that they are, you know, when you are describing the characteristic itself, that the description of them are people who are, in other words, if I were to paraphrase it, people that were made for Jahannam. Okay, let me just do this short piece here and then inshallah we can stop. He says والحقب 80 سنة في قول ابن عمر وابن محيص وأبي هريرة رضي الله عنهم والسنة 300 يوم و60 يوما واليوم 1000 سنة من أيام الدنيا قاله ابن عباس وروى ابن عمر هذا مرفوعا إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. Now we explain the word حقب. He says it refers حقب with a sakin on the qaf, it refers to 80 years, according to Hazrat Abdullah ibn Umar, Hazrat Abu Huraira, and Hazrat and Ibn Mihsan, radiyallahu anhum, that uh, a huqub is 80 days, and a year is 300 يوم و60 يوم, 360 days, and one day is 1,000 years according to the years of this world. This is mentioned by Hazrat Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma, and Hazrat Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu anhuma, he reports it in this manner from Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He goes further, وقال أبو هريرة رضي الله عنه السنة 300 يوم و60 يوما كل يوم مثل أيام الدنيا. He says, Hazrat Abu Huraira radiyallahu anhu interpreted it saying that a year is 360 days every day, and he's referring here to this period in Jahannam, that the kullu yawmin, every day of these 360 is the likes of mithla ayami dunya, not like the days of this world, as in one day here 360 days there, no, but rather one day there is like the entire time that this world has been in existence. That is one day. وعن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما أيضا الحقب 40 سنة السدي 70 سنة وقيل إنه 1000 شهر رواه أبو أمامة مرفوعا بشير بن كعب 300 سنة. So multiple opinions from Hazrat Abdullah ibn Umar رضي الله عنهما, it is 40 years. From Imam Asudi, it is 70 years. Others say it is 1,000 months. Others make mention, like Imam Bashir ibn Ka'ab, that it is 300 years. So 300 years. That is what this is referring to, ahqaba. Okay, let me see. Okay, we've still got quite a bit, so we definitely won't be able to go much further, but let's at least finish this one page off. He says, Al-Hasan, al-ahqabu la yadri أحد كم هي ولكن ذكروا أنها 100 حقب والحقب الواحد منها 70,000 سنة اليوم منها كألف سنة مما تعدون. That is mentioned from Imam Al-Hasan that ahqab, nobody knows exactly how much it is, but it's mentioned that it is 100 حقب. How many ahqab? لابثين فيها أحقابا, they will remain therein for ahqab. Let's say it means they will remain therein for years. How many years? We don't know. So he says that according to it's mentioned that it will be 100 hukub. So if we were translating hukub as year, then it would be they will remain therein for 100 years. So he explains, wal hukubu al wahidu minha. When we explain what is one hukub, it is 70,000 years. Al yawmu minha, one day out of these 70,000 years is the equivalent of 1,000 years according to what we know. So 70,000 times 1,000 times 70,000, 70 million, in other words. That's how long a person will, 70 million years is how long the person will remain in Jahannam. Okay. We got time just to do one short piece here. وعن أبي أمامة أيضا رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الحقب الواحدة 30,000 سنة ذكره المهدوي والأول الماوردي. He says that it's mentioned from Nabi صلى الله عليه وسلم that a حقب, one of it refers to 300 years, like it was reported earlier from a different Sahabi. وقال قطرب هو الدهر الطولي غير المحدود. Imam al-Qutrub, he says that it is الدهر الطويل, a very long time which is not limited. It's not restricted. It's not said a set amount of time. It is an endless lengthy period. And we can stop on this point here, inshallah. Obviously, like I said, there's quite a bit, so we'll continue on probably for the next 2 weeks possibly before we end the tafsir, or if not possibly even longer, just on the tafsir of these few ayat which we had been reading together. So with that being that, we'll stop on this point here, inshallah. Until next time, there's been no questions, so we will we'll end here for now tonight, inshallah. Like I say, until next time, if you do happen to have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask on WhatsApp. If you have any questions and you want to ask it around the next week, that's also up to you. But anyway, with that being that, we will end on this point here, inshallah. And next week, or at least tomorrow, inshallah, we continue on with our hadith class. Next week, Monday, is when we will do the next class from this kitab. But that being that, question. Okay, no question. So then with that being that, we will end on this point here, inshallah. Until next time, wa sallallahu wa sallama wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad. Subhanallahi wa bihamdihi, subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.